In this new 6-part series I'm calling Get in the Shot, I'm going to take you through some of my favourite images that I've shot in my career. I'm going to take you through how I've shot these special images, the techniques that I've used and the thinking behind them, so that you can break it all down yourself and go out and get some images just the same. This is the second part of Getting the Shot, and in today's episode what I want to talk to you about is working commercially and shooting commercially in active, busy work areas and still getting the best images that you can. It would be a perfect world if every time we work with a client we had the best location, the best lighting and the best environment. And honestly, when it happens, it's brilliant, and I've had it a couple of times in my career and it's really cool. However, the majority of the times aren't like that. The majority of the times the location you get is great, but it often isn't just yours and yours alone. You're having to work around other people, you're having to create the kind of light that you want to create. You don't always have perfect conditions, and that's okay. As a working photographer, it's really important that you don't throw your toys out of your pram when you don't get perfect locations and perfect conditions. And in fact, what you do is you roll your sleeves up, get stuck in, and still create some really, really cool photos. In the summer of 2019, I was blessed to work with endurance athlete and bicep man Ross Edgley when working on some stuff with Loughborough Sport at the Power-Based Gym, which is basically one of the world's best elite athlete gyms all over the world. It's an amazing place. The point of the commercial shoot was that we were basically going to go around, follow Ross doing some workouts, and then build some assets and some images for Loughborough Sport to kind of show off the relationship between Ross himself and Loughborough Sport as a university and as a sporting hub, and then also give some stuff for Ross for his time and all that kind of thing. So basically we were going around the Power-Based Gym at Loughborough University and just creating these really, really cool photos. Now the problem is the Power-Base was busy. Like, it was an active gym. It had probably 150, 200 athletes in it. I would have loved to have it shut down so that I could work in my own environment and all that kind of stuff, but that wasn't the case. There's no way you can shut that kind of environment down. The lighting in there is pretty good, but it's not amazing. So we just kind of worked around and tried to create the best images that we can. We did some stuff with Ross on weight machines and pushing sleds, and we got a really cool photo of him basically underneath some natural overhead window lights, which looked really, really cool, which looked like studio lights but really weren't. But the majority of the time we were working around really busy, active areas. If you're interested in finding out more about how to make money from sports photography, then check out my How to Be Successful with Sports Photography course over on Udemy. Links in the description below. Now the shot in question that I got, which was the real standout stellar image for this shoot, was actually a top-down shot from an above balcony of Ross sitting on the Loughborough Sport logo. Now it looks really, really cool and it looks like the gym's dead and empty, but in reality it wasn't. In reality it was really, really busy. We had one of the university staff clear as much of the space out as we could, but it was still busy with people. The trick for this was to get Ross on the logo and have him clean on the logo with nobody else on the logo. Said logo quite a lot of times. The go-to lens and camera body choice for this one was the 5D Mark III and my 24-70 2.8. The reason I went for these is because that's a full frame sensor, which means I could get as wide as possible. Even though I was up, elevated and high, I still wanted as much width as I could. I could always crop in later, but you can't uncrop, you can't expand out of an image that you don't have. So went full frame, went 24mm, brought it all the way open as much as I could to get as much coverage as I could. So we positioned Ross into the center of the logo, put him right there in the middle and made sure he was dead center. It's really important if you ever shoot anything like this where you've got somebody on some kind of visual, like a logo, that you make sure they're center in person. You do it in the moment, because it's really hard to move them later in post and not mess that logo up. So take a few minutes to get that person situated exactly where you want them. Then it was a case of getting the floor clear as much as we could, but obviously that wasn't the case. We got it clear as much as we could though. And then back later when I got back onto the laptop in Photoshop and in Lightroom, I just managed to work around and pick out all of those elements that were on that matting and on that carpeted area and remove them. It's a really, really cool shot. It's one of my favorite commercial shots of last year. It's definitely up there with one of my favorite commercial shoots in my career as a whole. It's just a really, really cool image, and it takes a little bit of time just to think it through and kind of have the patience in the moment to work that area. We don't always get perfect conditions, like I've said. You don't always get kind of like just completely empty areas to work with as sports photographers if you're working commercially with brands and athletes and stuff. So you have to be a bit clever and a bit patient and just work around the environment. Stay tuned to next time when we look at the next part of this Get in the Shot series.
If you haven't already, take a moment to hit subscribe so you'll get notified whenever I post up new videos. At the minute, it's about twice a week. I share most of my work on Instagram too, @BenSnapStuff, so feel free to give me a follow. Till next time.